Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We are just getting started here. I have returned from Silicon Valley, where I'm the newly appointed YouTube CEO. And we're just about to get into coverage for today. But actually, before we do that, before we get into this big story about Noma, we're talking about this one right here, this Chicago restaurant. I will say one thing that I did this weekend was not talk about things that are very concerning to me. A person who's not yet building who's not yet building out on YouTube, but obviously has plans to make content on other platforms. And one thing I kept talking about to these executives I was meeting for the first time, I said, look, I am concerned about all the censorship that we are staring down the barrel at. I am concerned about all these companies that have been capitulating to the Trump administration. I am concerned about what is happening to progressive speech online, to really all speech, because these violations are bad for all of us. But of course, we're seeing it first as the effects of silencing progressive speech, in media and entertainment on the internet. So I was talking to them about that. And one thing I brought up too is I was like, look, YouTube can position themselves right now with this major merger that's happening in Hollywood with the Ellisons, with Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount. YouTube can position themselves as a place where, say, for example, let's say John Oliver loses his show on HBO. John Oliver's videos do very well on YouTube. YouTube can be the next platform. She's going to get herself shadow banned. No, they were very interested in what I had to say. I was like, YouTube can be the next platform for people like John Oliver to go to, for people in media and politics who are having to leave mainstream media, who do not have the opportunities that maybe they once had in Hollywood, and now are looking at a platform with a global reach like that of YouTube's. Because they were talking, I was in this meeting because Cutie was in this meeting. But they were talking about how top YouTube talent, once influencers get big enough, now they have opportunities to go to Hulu. They have opportunities to go to Netflix. And they were kind of like, how do we deal with like losing that IP? Because if they go to Netflix is going to say, we own this, right? You can't put this stuff on YouTube anymore. I go, don't worry about those people. This is kind of how things are changing, where Hollywood is now looking at new emerging talent as very, very popular content creators. Like, that's who is getting deals. That's who is getting opportunities that makes this kind of a new frontier, the way that the industry's been changing. I said, so that's okay. Like, I don't think as a platform you should be worrying about retaining just the top content creators. I think you should care about all the other talent. I think you should make it a platform that is accessible, that is, opportunities to make content and to monetize from content. Don't make it harder for people to monetize here, like it has been happening on other platforms. Well, the YouTube CEO loves AI. Well, we talked about AI a lot, and I'm very proud of Cutie, especially for talking about AI on this panel that she was on. And anyway, I said, yeah, she's a business advisor now. I was like, there's a lot of opportunity here for YouTube to really position themselves as a platform that's going to champion free speech, that's going to be the new home for journalists, for kind of traditional talent in Hollywood who aren't getting opportunities anymore and are now moving into the content world. I hate seeing AI slop. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was something we talked about too. Congrats on being the CEO of YouTube and YouTube Gaming. Thank you. How do I get it through to my friend who wants to move from New York to LA to be an actress despite not having a single credit? As a film journalist, I want to be supportive, but trying to tell her Hollywood is in the best place right now. Yeah, definitely tough. I mean, I never want to tell anyone not to try and fulfill their dreams, but I don't think moving to Los Angeles is the only option that you have if you're trying to have a career as an actress. She may want to look at other cities that have thriving production hubs where she could get more opportunities than if she were to move to Los Angeles. It's also the cost of living here. It's why it's been pushing a lot of people out. This is something that I talked to Ray Huang about, who's running for mayor of Los Angeles. Who said, look, we are dealing with rising costs of living in a city that's already so expensive. And with a major industry here being Hollywood, and a decline in opportunities, which puts people in a really bad position. It's basically squeezed out the middle class in Los Angeles, because back in the day, you could have a career. You could support your family. You could afford to live in this city. And that's like not the reality anymore. Come to Albuquerque, lots of TV and film stuff going on, and local. Yes, and of course, rising costs of living is an issue across this country, but Los Angeles, New York, these are very expensive places to live if you are also pursuing the creative arts. So it's kind of that, it's that on top of just not as many opportunities right now. A decline in production in California. So, anywho, I would just tell your friend to look at some other options if she wants to pursue acting that's not necessarily moving to LA. And I think it'd be good for her to build a resume before she comes out here, because otherwise it's rough no matter what. Like, it is really, really, really hard. And the other thing too is she doesn't have to come to LA. If she manages to get an agent, pretty much every audition is a self-tape. Even callbacks. That has really changed. When I first moved to LA, I was going to casting offices. I was going to studio lots. Now it's all self-tape. So you don't even have to be in LA to be auditioning. My dad grew up in Hollywood Hills, like out of Once Upon a Time, in the stories he tells about the industry neighborhoods. It's like a fantasy world. All right. So that was my trip to Silicon Valley. That was my experience meeting people in the YouTube world. And I will say that it was really nice for me to openly express myself and the type of content that I do here on Twitch, and be very encouraged. One of the top dogs in the gaming and development kind of sphere of YouTube, they're like, oh my God, you have to come over to YouTube. So there's a lot of, it was so funny too, because there were a bunch of partner managers and people who were there who would come over to me and they'd be like, we're leftists. And I said, oh, I know. You think I can't tell? you think when I meet someone I can't tell when they have right politics? Well, not right. I mean, not right as in ideologically right. I mean, as in correct politics. What is your background? What did you do for getting into streaming current events and pop culture? I worked in the entertainment industry. I worked in politics. I worked a lot of different jobs, but primarily entertainment and politics. Do I have correct politics? If your politics are rooted in a politics of care, if that is where your politics come from, is care for your fellow human beings, a desire to have life be better for everyone, to ensure that we do not keep moving in this direction in this world where billionaires, a small group of people, control everything. If you are rooted in empathy, you know, those good values, then yes.